DBS community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super deck profile video here with Kyle Chris, and today I'm going to be going over my Mecha Frieza list that I played over the weekend. Ended up getting second place, lost to my buddy, who also is the store owner, his Red Broly deck. I don't know how I lost. I think I just didn't Flying Nimbus when I needed to, but ended up losing, so I got second, which was still really good. I got a bunch of TPs. And I'm getting one of these here, the Lord Slug winner cards here, which is pretty cool. Very, very cool card. But I'll go over the list here. This is a different Mecha Frieza list than I played the week before, because as you guys know, I'm a big fan of yellow, big fan of this Mecha Frieza list, this leader, and just all the different archetypes you can play with it. So I'll go over my list in the sideboard, and then I'll go over kind of the matchups real quick at the end, and what I would look for in my first hand. Mecha Frieza, if you guys don't know by now, he's a swing one, draw one, and on his front side you can activate extra cards, mono yellow extra cards, by taking a life. 1 drops become free, 2 drops become 1. You awaken at 4 life, and then on this side you swing, draw a card. When you activate a yellow extra card, once per turn you can tap one of your opponent's battle cards, and then 2 or less mono yellow extra cards become free by taking a life. So this is slightly different. Very different from the last one I played, but some ratios on some other things changed too. So the draw engine for the deck, we run 3 of the Universe 9 Assemble and 1 Khalifa's Fury. I don't own 4 of these. I was going to buy another one, and then I realized it's getting, not one, I mean, it's had 1 reprint, but now it's getting another reprint in the Evolutionary Booster, so I'm not going to buy it. Just going to wait for the new one to come out. So I ran this as a, kind of just as another draw card, but this actually is a very interesting card. I actually may tech this into just some other matchups, but Universe 9, you play it for 1 on your unawakened side, and once your opponent's tapped out, you can play this for 1, take a life, draw 2, then play Universe 9 card from your deck, and if they are tapped out. If they're not tapped out, you can still just play it for 1, take a life, and then draw 2. On your awakened side, this is a take a life, draw 2, and there's a lot of value in this card. My last matchup we played, I ended up activating 2 of these on the same turn, so I took a life because I think I was at 5. So I took a life, tapped this for 1 because it doesn't activate main or activate battle. So during my opponent's battle phase, activated this, took a life, tapped 1, draw 2, played out a Chappie, which you guys will see in here, or Chapel or Chappelle or whatever you guys call them, and then awoken, restood that energy, took a life, played this out, drew 2 more cards, played another Iron Drake card, and it got really disgusting. So I run 3 of these. 4 is definitely necessary for this deck, and I think will be unless you're not running Universe 9 anymore. And even then, it's still just a really good card. This card's very interesting though. So Khalifa's Fury, it's a counterplay that allows you to draw 2 cards. So on your awakened side, it's a free draw 2. But what's interesting about it is it's a counterplay that doesn't attach itself to a card. So hypothetically, if you're playing against Xenocell, I'm going to use this as an example because it's probably one of the best cards to actually deal with Xenocell. It's very strange, I know, but just listen to me. So on your awakened side, if you can activate an extra card. You can choose to tap a battle card. So it's an activate. It is an auto. So I believe it says choose up to 1, so I think you can just do it whenever. Or maybe the first time you activate an extra card that turn. So you have to kind of pick your poison with that. But if it is your first extra card you can activate, when you activate this, it's a counterplay. So you draw 2 when your opponent plays a battle card. Doesn't activate on that card, so you just draw. And then this will activate, so then you can tap something down. So even if something has deflect, you can still activate this to tap 2 and then just tap the card down, and then go into Bergamo or go into whatever else. So it's kind of an interesting little tech card, but it just allows you to draw 2, but it's only able to be activated during the counterplay step. So we got 4. We got those 4. 4 Iron Drakes, Chappelle, the boy. My last video I had 3. I need to see it, and you need to run 4. It is necessary. I didn't run any Basils at the tournament because I didn't have them. I ended up buying 1. And I'm gonna wait till the other ones get reprinted. But this card is probably gonna be a 2 of in most decks, maybe a 3 of. But no, you don't need 4 of this card. The Iron Drake is the better card to run as a 4 of, because once this card's on the field, it taps down an opponent's energy whenever they attack. You have multiple of these. Taps on multiple energy. Your opponent has to remove this card, and if they don't have board removal for it, they're screwed. So definitely a very good card to have. And you don't even really need to swing with it to gain value. Just your opponent's going to swing, and they have to play stuff before they swing, or else you're going to tap down energy, and it makes their plays very, 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 very difficult. Next, I did play the slug package again. So 3 of the mini slug, and then 4 of the big slug. Came in handy. I'm finding more and more that this is a small enough package that you can throw it into any single deck that you play with Mecha Frieza, or mostly any yellow deck, just because it's such a small archetype. You don't need to play the Angile. Currently, I don't think it's needed. It just doesn't feel like a great card. This is an amazing card, though. I don't care. I've seen a lot of videos of people saying this card's terrible, don't buy it. They're just not playing it right, obviously. So this card here, when this card's in rest mode, it's a 20k barrier. Your opponent cannot add cards to their hand from skills other than their leader. So as long as you're not playing against the launch, this card's great, because launch just draws on the leader swing, and I mean off of the leader ability. But super combos, if they play their card that says bottom deck, a card, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that card still says you have to bottom deck it when you play it. When you play the card, you have to bottom deck, and then if you bottom deck, then you get to draw 2 cards. I believe that card still says you have to bottom deck, even if because it's an auto, I believe. So you bottom deck, and then you can't draw 2 cards. So it's basically they play it for 10k, and then they lose a card from their hand. So it's a pretty powerful card. Also, any super combos don't draw, any sort of extra cards don't draw. In the mirror matchup, this card will win you the game, because the Mecha Frieza can't add cards. They can't use the Universe 9. They can't play Basil. They can't do anything else. They can't play this card here. So very, very powerful. A lot of people just keep forgetting about it for some reason. And currently the reason why I don't run forward this guy is because this guy can activate main for 1 yellow, pitch this card, and then play this card out. So if you absolutely need it that way. This card comes out, draws a card, then you can either play this guy for 1 energy, or you can tap a battle card. The battle card part doesn't really come up too much. You're just going to go directly into him if you can, and then just keep him in rest mode, and then your opponent's just going to have to remove it. And when you have Chappie on board and other things, it just becomes very, very difficult to deal with. We still run 4 Vegeta Unisons. We will always run 4 Vegeta Unisons until it's no longer needed. The Metacooler Unison is very interesting, though. I do think it has some value. The other Unison is going to be the Gotenks, or the Gogeta Unison, which I don't think I have with me here, or else I'd show you guys. The Gogeta Unison, oh yeah, this guy. Hold on, actually, on this card. Oh no, it says if you may. So what I said about the super combo, don't put in the comments. I just read it. It doesn't say, it says you may, but you still can't draw cards off of it. So still good. So this guy here. So this guy is a good secondary option for Unison. If you're going to be running more Overwhelm. It also gives your leader does give your leader plus 5k if all of your energy's tapped. So that is pretty cool. This also lets you search through your deck a little bit more. And get cards in the drop area for Overwhelm. You can put apes in there as well. But Vegeta currently in the meta is the best Unison. Once Dark Broly's gone, I don't think this will be as useful. Once Dark Broly's not played as much, then you could probably switch out to this or the Metacooler Unison, because both of those are very, very good options. So this card, -1, your opponent cannot attack with higher cards than their current energy. So Arrival packages, Dark Broly, Red Broly, Gotenks, Shinron, they can't attack with their big cards. So puts them in a really bad spot, and they have to remove this card. And this card's very easy to kill. It's very, very fragile. This is a very glass cannon like Unison. So just be wary of that. You also can tap this card or a battle card to add a marker to it, and then you can activate one of these skills down here. The -3 is a game ender. You can tap an energy, and then this card gets 5k dual attack and double strike. There was a game yesterday where I played this card for 3, or I played it for 2. I tapped itself, and then I -3, and I removed this card just so I can remove the last energy on my opponent's board. That is a very good effect. So you have a lot of versatility with playing this card. So definitely should run as a 4 of until Dark Broly is no longer a thing. 2 Black Man Saiyan. I did not run Planet Vegeta in the main board. I probably should have. I just didn't have deck space, but I still just ran this just in case I did see it. And it's a great card. Stop your opponent from playing battle cards 15k or less. Decks like King Piccolo, Launch, even Red Broly, Vigex, any of those decks, this card is a must-have in the main board. So we just ran 2 of them. 2 Triangle Below. I wish I ran 3. In my Red Broly matchup, which is the only game I lost, I only saw one of these. I think I saw one of these in all 3 games, and yeah, the other one came from my life off of a crit attack. So running, I think adding another one of these to maybe the sideboard just for Red Broly is great. Anything in 3 or less when it's being played, you can negate its skills, and then you can choose a battle card or a Unison with no specific costs and remove its skills. So you can choose any Unison, you can choose any battle card on the field. Red Broly, when they play the 1-drop, you play this, stops their chain. And because your leader can activate 1-drop from just taking a life, so even if it's your opponent's, they're going first and they do everything, you can still just play this and just take a life and not play it for energy. So he said pure counter the Red Broly, but you just need to see this card. If you don't see it, the matchup becomes kind of annoying. 2 Bardock Raiders Warcry. I've seen a lot of videos where people are saying this card is not good in the main board. And in this variation of the deck, I disagree. I think this variation of the deck, this card is amazing, and I'll explain why once we get there. But it's a 2-drop. You play it out, tap a battle card, draw a card. Now you have a 20k dual. You have a 20k double strike on board. This is a good pressure piece. You need to have pressure in this type of deck. It just allows you to do a lot. I didn't end up playing it a ton. I think I played it maybe once or twice. I played it in the Dark Broly matchup, and I played it in another matchup that I've had over the weekend. And everything else, it just became charge energy, which is fine. Not every matchup is going to be great in, but in this variation of the deck, you need to run this card. So I'm going to keep that there for now. For super combos, I ran 1 Gohan and 3 Zamasu. Again, for this variation, I should have taken this out to add a 4th Zamasu. But this is an amazing card, though, for yellow, and anybody who plays yellow, you should be looking into running this card. You can play it for 1, tap a battle card, and then you can combo with it if you're at 4 or less life, and your opponent has 4 or more cards. Your opponent has 5. Your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode. You can KO something 5 or less in rest mode, which is pretty powerful. You also can just combo with it and just draw a card. So has that effect. It's also searchable off a planet. So if you do run planet, you can search this card. Yeah, but I should have ran Freiza Zamasu because we run the Arrival package, and I know I think his name's Jordan Markle. Somebody else I think ran this either at the Miami event or they ran one of the PPG events. I've been looking at this as an archetype because I play a lot of. I've always kind of played blue and yellow. So when I was playing the Mecha Frieza list and I saw somebody was running this in the list, I said, okay, that's actually very interesting. So I ended up adding in the Agent of Destruction here. So the Zamasu activates your Arrival combination, and both of these are Arrival cards. So the Resonant of Destruction here, I have the 2 different arts of it. I know, probably annoying some people here. It's a 1-cost yellow to Arrival. It's a 20k body with blocker. Comes into play, taps a battle card, and then your opponent mills the top card of their deck, which can be very useful. Then you also have Bojack here. This Bojack here, the Violent Rush. He has a lot of keyword skills. He has Arrival, Barrier, Unique, and Aegis. So Aegis is a older set of 7 mechanic that you can activate during your combo defensive states. So what this card does, for Aegis, you pitch a blue and yellow card, or a blue and a yellow card, and then you get the restand 2 energy, and then when this card activates Aegis, or when this card activates its Aegis effect, you get to draw the card. That's very powerful. So the reason why we run the apes, let's say we have 1 energy up and we're at 5 lives. So this is kind of the play that I did over the weekend, where I played Universe 9, took a life, went down to 4, and then I had one energy left over. Actually, no, I had no energy left over, so I awoken to restand that energy. Then I used a Zamasu super combo, played this guy out for 1 yellow, and then activate Aegis. I pitched one of these. I think it was regardless, it was one of these other Bojacks. I pitched it from my hand to then restand 2, draw a card, and then I played the ape off of those 2 energy. And not to mention, I played 2 chapels off of 2 different Universe 9s, and just it was a lot of playing out. It's a very heavy combo, and there's different parts of the game where you want to do it, but you want to explode on one turn, play out all this stuff, and you put a lot of stuff in rest mode. You also can play off. You also can play Bergamos as well. So if you have the ability to, you can play Bergamos. Just this whole archetype here is nuts, and don't know who really to give credit to it, because I know a lot of people don't run this guy in the main board. Actually, I've seen a lot of decks where they weren't running this. They were just running 4 of these, and then they were just keeping one on board because most people don't have barrier removal, and they would just pitch the extra copies of this. But I ran 2 extra ones just so I had 5 total that I can pitch, because I'm not pitching super combos. That just feels really, really bad. But you basically just sit this guy on the board. He has a 20k swing as well. He has barriers, so your opponent's really not going to deal with him. If you have this on board and your Lord Slug, it becomes really annoying, because now your opponent has 2 barrier cards that do 2 different effects that affect your opponent, and it just becomes very annoying, and they can't really deal with all of it at once. So this is kind of the split currently. I'm thinking about upping this up to 4 and maybe cutting this down to 1, just so I can get an extra Bergamo in there, because Bergamo feels way more powerful, being able to, for 2 energy, tap 2 battle cards and or energy, ignoring barrier. It just becomes it seems like a much better effect. And then this card comes out every now and then for the arrival factor, where I can play something out, rest a battle card. Now I have a blocker on board, and I can make my opponent mill a card. So if they can't remove this blocker, it's going to sit there, and then I can block an attack with it, and then I can Aegis off of this to restand 2 and do a bunch of other stuff. So this is my favorite part of the deck, and this caught a lot of people by surprise. In the future, probably won't as much, but it still is just a very difficult engine to remove. You can't really deal with it too much. 2 Poutine. I want to bump this up to 3 because I never saw it. Comes out whenever you tap when one of your skills tap one of your opponent's battle cards, or a card. So this is the easiest turn 2 play. So you play out Universe 9, play this card out. Then your opponent attacks, you tap an energy, you play this card out. So now when this card's on the board, when your opponent activates a counter skill, or they play a battle card using a skill, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and put it in rest mode. That's the important thing, is that you get to choose. So a lot of people think that it's a card being played, so they'll play like a really, a card that has very little significance, I guess, on the board. And then you can just choose a different card and tap it. If you have this card on the field during Xenocell and you haven't activated this ability, this is an auto, so you don't really have the ability to say no. You can tap Xenocell. One thing I did do against the Dark Broly player is on his turn, this tapped one of the Dark Brolys, and then I went to a combo, and I comboed this off. Then I comboed a Zamasu to tap another card to then play this one. So then I had a fresh ability on the board. Because it doesn't say you can't activate the auto on these skills anymore. So I activated this, comboed this away, comboed a Zamasu, tapped something else, and then played this. And now I had another one in case he wanted to play another Broly, so I can tap that one as well. You can only have one on board, so that's why I did that, because it does have unique. But this also has barrier as well, so it's going to be very difficult to remove. 3 Vegeta Final Flashes. 3's fine. 4 is even better. You can it's plus 15. You can remove all the skills on one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. And if you're going for game, you can take life and just plus 15. This card just makes it so your opponent can't really combo out of a lot of stuff. 1 Freiza Divine Transformation. This card did come up. Very powerful, being able to KO everything in rest mode. You get to swing with it for 25k double strike. It cannot be removed by skills. It restands at the end of your turn. Hand has blocker, and when your opponent activates a counterattack skill, you get to choose 2 of their cards, put them in rest mode, and they can't stand next turn. This is very, very good. Most of the time you're going to pick energy, but there are times where you're going to pick battle cards or leaders or unisons just so they can't use them, especially with unisons in certain matchups, because you can just tap their unison and their leader, and now they can't play that. Now, obviously, what they may do is they may do the ability and then play out another one on top of it. But, that's the kind of change you make. So, definitely more likely the first thing you're going to do is pick energy and then possibly pick a leader or a battle card. But it does not ignore barrier, so you can't do that, unfortunately, or it's be broken. For Nimbus, the only extra card negate we run. I am thinking about adding Time Magic as a side deck card, or even Release from Evil, because Release from Evil will always be free. I know Release from Evil says if your opponent, if you have a Unison in play, you can play this card out for free. Well, your leader can play out mono yellow extra cards that cost 1 for free, so you can just play it out. So it is a very, very good card. That card blanks a card that's being played, but this stops your opponent from being able to attack with more battle cards. So if they swing with leader first, you just take a life, pitch this, and pitch another yellow card. Now they can only get 1 battle card swing, and it just kind of helps you stall out a lot of those decks. 1 Cold Bloodlust, you will always run it, just turns off a card. 1 Champa in the main deck, and then the 2 Overwhelms, I ran Bardock and the Masked Sand. This card, just crazy utility. You can warp up to 6 energy worth of cards. This card comes into play as 25k dual attack, and this could end you games as well. Just being able to swing twice with this, combo with this one time. So you have a 35k double strike, and then you can swing again with it. If you have another one of these, card, basically it's a quad strike, which is absolutely nuts. And then 1 Supreme Kai, the secret rare of choice. I think this has the most utility out of any secret rare currently that you can play. If you have Xenocell, you're probably going to play Xenocell, but I do like this card a lot. If I had Xenocell, it would be a very tough decision. I may still pick this though, because this card comes out for 1 energy. You can play it on your turn, and now you have a 1-drop 40k swing that you can add and double strike to, and just combo on top of Final Flashes and just win a game off of that. So this card is very nuts, and you can pay 1 extra to warp your entire opponent's board and their Unison. So if they're stacking up a Unison, this card just completely removes it. Absolutely nuts. So sideboard. So we'll go over the sideboard real quick. So I did side in 3 Planet Vegeta, and I sided in a ton of tech options for this. So we had one more ape for matchups where I would need to see it. I didn't really need it ever, but it was there just in case it did. 2 Crisis Crusher. When your opponent decides to play Black Mass Saiyan and they want to stop you from playing out your chapel, you play this, and then you can just pop a 1-drop once per turn. It comes out for 1 energy if your opponent has battle cards in play and you don't have any battle cards in play. Yeah, so it says no battle cards. So even if you have Planet Vegeta on board, this still can come out. And then once per turn, you can tap you can KO a 1-drop. 2 Son Gohan Changing History. This card is absolutely nuts. So it's a 1-drop barrier that draws you a card, and then when your opponent activates a counter skill, and they use that counter skill to restand an energy, they have to crit a life and crit an energy. So they can't use Sparking Dimension Magic when you're playing against blue. This is basically it's only going to be for blue, but you're playing against blue, you're playing against Invoker, you put this card down, and unless they Cooler or Emperor's Death Beam it, they're not going to be able to do anything for a while. So it's good to just kind of sit one of these on board, maybe put 2 of them on board, and now it's going to force them to have to use Emperor's Death Beam on this, and maybe not on something else where they're going to be taking damage from. 2 Son Gohan and Videl. Power Couple. This is a tech card I've been adding into all of my yellow decks forever. It's a 1-drop yellow. You draw a card, you send this card to the drop from your hand, and then you choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards with 5k or less, ignoring barrier. And you basically neg 2 cards 5k, ignoring barrier. So any of the 5k barrier cards like this, like Black Mass Saiyan, if you're playing against Slug and they're using wings, you're playing against, I don't know, AOD, they have the Bobbity or the Bibbity, you can just neg it, and you can neg 2 of them. So you get to choose 2 cards. And also it is a Saiyan, so it's searchable off of your Planet Vegeta, so you can search any of these cards out here. And this is really all the tech options you need for most matchups. You also can put Black Mass Saiyan in here as well if you want more. But this should technically be in the main board. I just didn't have room for it. So I can cycle out the Black Mass Saiyan. But any of these tech options here are just nuts. You can probably take this out and add something else, but yeah, these are great. That 1 Swift Retaliation Cooler, playing against a deck that's gonna have a counter attack like Baby or something where like Topo, I can play this for 3. Draw a card if I have enough cards in rest mode. If I have 6 more cards in rest mode, I get to draw 2 technically. Now I have a 15k swing on board, and it stops their counter attack, so my attack still goes through. 1 Darkness Eye Beam. You guys know I live by this card. It's free on your Awakened side. You can tap all your opponent's battle cards, play out Freiza, the 5-drop, KO everything, or you can start playing out Bergamos. Another double strike, just to have it. Food the Dark Banisher. I played this against my blue baby matchup, and then every time they activate a skill, they have to warp a card. So it's a 4-drop Overwhelm, 25k triple attack. Every time your opponent activates a skill, they have to warp a card. So if they activate Super Combo, if they activate a Negate, they activate any sort of skill on your turn, they warp a card. So it's pretty nuts. They activate Bean, that also makes them warp a card. So I would basically just I played this card, swung with it once, and then just swung with everything else, and then just kept making them warp cards out of their hand. And then I also have the 10-drop Fu as well. Just some overwhelm options. This is very, very good late game. This is your good mid-range tempo deck counter, especially being able to play against anything that has that's a combo deck. This card just does a lot of work in. So that's what I ran. The deck performed very, very well. This is probably my favorite variation of Mecha Frieza so far. Until the new stuff comes out, and I may change it up a little bit. But this is kind of the idea I'm going to be playing for most online tournaments. I may change up some ratios and some other things, like adding Basils in and doing some other things. But this is probably one of the better versions of Frieza that you will find anywhere. I'll have the deck list down below as well, possibly. Now, when it comes to starting hands, starting hand, for most matchups, you do want to see one Poutine at least, because then it starts to trigger off of all of your effects. So the next thing you want to see in very aggressive matchups is a Triangle Blow. Being able to just play it out for free, to be able to tap something. I mean, to be able to stop them from being able to go into their early plays. A Vegeta, because Vegeta turn 2, you're going to play this down in most matchups that involve Red Broly, Dark Broly, anything else that goes tall. And just put on the board. Now your opponent has, your opponent really doesn't have a way of attacking you a lot, so you kind of buy yourself some turns. Universe 9, can't play it on your turn first, but you do have the ability on your opponent's turn. If they go first, they play something, then you play this, draw 2, take a life, play out a Chappie, and then you basically are set on board. Whenever they decide to swing, then you play Poutine, and you're golden. Like I said, Planet Vegeta should be in most main decks, so that's also a turn 1 play as well. You can play that out to search out like Black Mass Saiyan or the Gohan, get that card established, and now your opponent has to fight through that. The other 2 cards you can get, because Black Mass Saiyan, you're not going to have in your starting hand most of the time. As long as you have a Planet Vegeta, you can just put it back. And then Planet Vegeta right now currently is in the side deck. So the other 2 cards you want to see is going to be the Slug package. So since we don't run Planet Vegeta, this is a great turn 1 play, because you just play it, draw a card. As long as they don't kill it next turn, you can tap 1, go into this, swing, and then you can swing with your leader and do whatever else. Especially if you have one of these in your hand too. So if you go into this on your second turn, you swing with this first, do whatever. They can't kill it. Then you can Universe 9, tap the other energy that you have. Draw 2, take a life, play out a Chappie, swing with leader, and then just sit back, and now your opponent has to fight through all that defenses that you just put up, and it's not very good, not very easy to do. So that's what I have for you guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the deck itself down below. I'm curious to see what you guys say, and I'll see you guys in the next video.